And welcome to the show. And we are visiting with Paul Fair of Paul Fair Associates. Paul's a financial advisor with clients on the 422 corridor and actually throughout the United States. Welcome to the show, Paul.
Well, thanks for having me.
Great to have you here. Paul, you have 23 years experience as a financial advisor. Who is your typical client?
People that are about to retire or already retired.
And what would you say are the most common issues with people who are facing retirement in regards to managing their money?
Well, first of all is change and uncertainty. As we get older, we don't like changes. Providing for their spouse, getting the best out of their investments and not losing their money. They want to have a lifetime income.
Sure.
They're concerned about their health care. Certainly the health care through Medicare. Most people are on Medicare. And also for their long-term care. And also making sure their legal affairs are in order.
It's a lot to think about.
Yeah.
It's good to have someone with some expertise in that area to help them out. Now, what comprises a typical retiree's income?
Well, when we look at that, retirees get their money from their income through a few different sources. The first one, if they're fortunate enough to have a private pension or a government pension, that certainly is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
They also have Social Security, which is a major factor for most retirees.
Mm-hmm.
Having the Social Security is rather complicated. As an example, a married couple generally have between 10 and 12 different options that they can choose in Social Security.
Wow, that many.
90% of them only end up looking at one or two because they just don't go any further than that.
Right.
And that mistake can cost somebody, cost the family $20, $40, $100,000 over their lifetime.
Wow. So it's important to know all your options before you pull the trigger and make any moves.
Yeah,
huh?
before you make your application, you need to know what you're going to do. And if you go to Social Security, they don't give advice. They answer questions. They're there to process paperwork, not to necessarily tell you what your options are.
Right.
So that can be a big thing. Working with someone that's qualified in that area,
Right.
That was certainly a big help.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I've gone through training. I'm a National Social Security advisor, and it does make a big difference. And when you see people sit down and look at their options and the differences it makes, it's really eye-opening.
Huh, how about that? Now, how do retirees' investments change after retirement? It's a little kind of a different situation now, right?
Well, you go from the accumulation phase to the distribution phase.
Gotcha.
So most people when they're working, they have a 401k, 403b, an IRA,
Mm-hmm.
and they put money in there, out of sight, out of mind, right out of their paycheck, right in there. So when the market correction comes, they really don't see the full effects of the market correction because they've been putting money in on a regular basis.
Right.
That sort of softens it. The day they retire, attitudes for a lot of people changes because now they're not putting money into it, they're only taking money out.
They're not accumulating anymore. Now they're looking at managing what they have,
And
making it last.
they want it to last for the rest of their life,
Mm-hmm.
and it does change the options. And what I find also is many times people want to become more conservative.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're in the 1970s, 1980s, even the 1990s, you go down to your local bank and get a 5, 6, 7%. Boy, during the 80s, I mean, everybody remembers the 80s, the early 80s, you could probably go out there and get 10, 12, 14%,
Right, right.
all guaranteed. Today, that's not the case, and I'm sure people know what I'm talking about low CD rates.
Yeah.
Ben Bernanke, the Fed chairman, just came out recently and reaffirmed he's going to keep rates low. He's pumping $85 billion a month into the system.
Until employment gets 6.5% or lower,
6.5%.
which it won't be in the immediate future. We're getting there, but it's going to take a few years.
I agree with you there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So looking at where they can get their income from is certainly, and I find that people are changing over. When they change over from the accumulation to the distribution, they also migrate some of their or more of their money from growth to income because they want to hold on to it.
Okay.
And we look at that, and also some of it goes into safe areas, safe money, guaranteed money. There you can look at, as opposed to the CDs at the bank, you can look at annuities. Annuities generally pay more than what the banks do.
Right.
They also can be set up to give you a lifetime income that you can't outlive.
Right.
And some of them even gotten a little bit fancy, and they have some other built-in places where if you become disabled, if you need assisted living, or you go into a nursing home, that your lifetime income even doubles for you. A non-traditional guaranteed asset is structured settlements. If we look at it, structured settlement, first of all, is someone won the lottery, and instead of taking a lump sum cash payment, they're taking out over a period of years. Someone won a lawsuit, and they're being paid out over a period of time. And these payments can come in on a monthly basis, annually. They can come in lump sum payments, or they can come in a combination of all three. Now, the person who's receiving these, if they decide that they have an immediate need for cash and they want to sell this, they can do so. The problem is, who are they going to sell it to? Investors can come in and buy these, all guaranteed money, and they can end up making 5 to 8% guaranteed returns on their money by investing and providing the cash for this person. They get what they want, the cash, and the investor gets what they want. They get a guaranteed investment.
So that there are options. And you kind of answered my next question about how do you reduce volatility and kind of keep your money safe. So you really explore the options you just described to me, right? You really have to sit down with someone like yourself who's an expert in these areas, think about it, and I guess every situation is different too, depending on your tolerance for risk, but more importantly, how much money you have. And life expectancy comes into all this as well. It's a big factor.
Yes, right? Certainly life expectancy is a big thing, and today, you just don't know where that's going.
Right, right, and we'll get into that a little later if we have time. But talk a little bit about time management now that you're a retiree, and the issues that you face in terms of time management.
Well, what I hear from a lot of people that are retired is they say, I don't know how I ever got so much done when I was working.
Right.
And I think it has to do probably with structure, because if they knew they had to go to work, they had to get this done, or it wasn't going to get done. Where today, well, you know what, there is tomorrow, and so forth. Right. Another thing I would talk about is a lot of people like to have a part-time job or to work with a charity, just not necessarily that they need the money, for, with a part-time job.
To keep busy and feel productive.
To keep busy.
And help out,
And I would always tell people, if they're going to provide charitable work, there's nothing wrong with that, and that's great.
Right.
Know your parameters up front, because just seems like all charities are understaffed.
Right.
After all, they're not paying people for the most part.
Right.
So when you show up, and if you're allocating 4 to 6 hours a week, and you show up, and then someone not able to come in this week, can you help out a little bit this week? Well, that becomes every week, and all of a sudden now you're up to from 4 to 6 to 8 to 12.
If you're the kind of person who doesn't know how to say no, you can get sucked into that pretty quickly.
That's right. And you get frustrated, and then you don't do any charitable work, so both you and the charity both lose out. So it's better just to know your parameters and keep to them up front.
Okay. Talk about healthcare Medicaid issues. That's a big area to consider as well, isn't it?
Well, absolutely. I mean, everyone wants to make sure they have good doctors and good health care. When we look at it, with the Affordable Health Care Act, Obamacare, that's going to be in full-fledged swing January of next year. Costs are going to be going up for people. Goods and services are going to be a little bit different. I was just listening to a report this morning where a number of doctors are thinking about making early retirement and so forth, because just the way the system's going to be. So we want to work at that, and hopefully we'll be able to keep our doctors as best we can. All right, but it is a program, a government program, and been doing very well so far, and hopefully it'll keep on doing very well. Another thing is, as part of that, is the Medicaid system. And we start talking about the Medicaid system, and Medicare, all you do is entitlement, all you need to do is qualify when you're 65, or disabled or blind or something like that. With Medicaid, though, you have to qualify for it. That means you have to spend down your assets. What I find is, well, first of all, the cost of long-term care or a nursing home today is roughly $80,000 to $100,000 in this area per year. And that seems to put a cramp on most people's assets. Where it really hurts, it hurts the healthy spouse.
Okay.
Because to get qualified for Medicaid or to qualify for it, you need to spend down assets.
Okay.
This is where I think an elder law attorney really earns their keep. And the biggest problem I see with the planning is the government's always moving the goalpost. And that's enough of one problem.
Right.
But people don't pre-plan. They wait until the last minute, and the last minute options certainly aren't as desirable as having a plan in place.
And making sure you do it right.
And again, I'm not an attorney,
Right.
but I work with a number of people, and these issues can come up.
Right, and with your individual clients, as you're directing them and looking at their specific situations, you know when to direct them to an attorney and when they're going to need one to really kind of,
Right.
fine-tune their strategy.
Yes. And another thing, too, when we're talking about attorneys, one of the problems I see with people is they don't have an updated will. That's extremely important. There's nothing more frustrating than asking someone to help you
Right.
to take care of
So that's
issues
probably
for you.
one of the first things you're going to talk to them about
Absolutely.
when they come to see you. How's your will and where are you with
Yeah.
that?
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Do you have a will? And a lot of people say to me, yes, I do. I said, where's your will? No, excuse me. I'll
When's-
say,
when's
do
the
you have
last
a
time you
power?
updated?
Well, I'll say to them, do you have a power of attorney? And they'll say, yes, I do. I said, where's your power of attorney? It's in my will. They get confused because there's a power of appointment in your will, which works after you're dead. Power of attorney works while you're living. So having it while you're living is very important.
Gotcha. We're going to be running out of time soon, so let me ask you now to give our viewers information on how to contact you. What's your phone number?
610-478-9500.
9500. And you have a website too?
PaulFair.com.
PaulFair.com.
Right.
Okay, good.
Yes.
All right, we have a couple more minutes. I'm going to talk about something that interests me, which is advances in medicine now. People are living longer. And I heard recently that the first person to live to 150 was born like a month ago. So people really do have to, I mean, this has become more critical than ever to think about making your money last because people are living much longer than they used to, and it's very important, right?
Yes. Actually, 25% of the people in this country do not live to be age 65.
Right.
And it seems like after 65, your life expectancy goes up. So if I'm talking to someone who's 68, their life expectancy is probably a little less than someone that's 70.
Gotcha.
It just seems that as you hit each milestone, each birthday, it seems it goes up just a little bit. I notice this when I do a calculation for someone for Social Security to look at their options, and the dates for the husband and the wife are getting closer together. It used to be about 4 years apart, but the husband's a little bit older, and it seems to be getting a little closer together when we look at that.
Okay, well, we're just about to wrap up here, but just one last quick question. When's a good time for somebody to come to see you? You don't want to wait until they're 65 and then call you up, right? I mean, it's good to think a few years ahead even to kind of talk to someone like you and start getting your ducks in a row and start thinking about what you need to do,
Well,
right?
yeah, that's true. Also, what I've seen is there's a lot of times where people age 58, 55, and so forth are changing jobs,
Right.
or they're taking early buyouts or something of that nature. So it is a good time to take a look and to review that. Another thing is, even if they're not thinking about making any changes, sometimes it's good just to compare.
Good.
Sit down with someone, maybe someone else sees something else that they didn't see, and if they have an advisor now that advisor didn't see, it doesn't cost you anything to look.
Right. So the short answer is it's never too early.
Correct.
Paul, very interesting guest. Thank you for being with us today, and I want to encourage our viewers to talk to Paul. And it's better to plan ahead than to be caught in a bad situation, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks, Paul.
Thank you.